So one of my good Twitter friends at Browns Dubs, he asked me to do a video on the Charlotte Hornets. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow Browns Dubs on Twitter, by the way. Link in the description below. And I guess I'm a man of the people, so here I am with the video on the Charlotte Hornets. And in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and talk about just how good are the Charlotte Hornets. Before we get started though, please make sure you guys hit that like button, as it really does help out the channel if you guys enjoyed. And also, make sure you guys do subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy this type of content, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I am finally going to do a face reveal. But with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get this video started. Now, when we talk about the Hornets, we first got to talk about LaMelo Ball. Last year, LaMelo Ball was great. He won Rookie of the Year, and even if you think Anthony Edwards should have won the award, you can't deny LaMelo Ball, he was a top 2 Rookie of the Year candidate, and he established himself as one of the best young players and one of the better point guards in the NBA last season. And this year, he's gotten even better and has been playing like he's an all-star. And so far, he's seen a jump in a lot of major stats like points per game, assists per game, and rebounds per game. Not to mention, his efficiency has also gone up, and he's taken more shots, and that just speaks to how much better LaMelo Ball has gotten this season. He's arguably already their best player, and keep in mind, he's only a sophomore, and he's only going to get better from here on out. LaMelo Ball, he's amazing as a playmaker, he's a good scorer, and he's also not that bad of a shooter either. Now, his defense, I mean, it's far from amazing, and he definitely can get better on that end, but LaMelo Ball, he's still an amazing player, and he's only going to get better from here, and he is a future All-NBA player, and he's a future superstar, and I have pretty much nothing but good things to say about LaMelo Ball, and I think a lot of us know just how good he is. I mean, you hear about it all the time. LaMelo Ball, I think he's the best player on this team, and he's just great. And alongside him in the backcourt is Terry Rozier. Now, Terry Rozier, in my opinion, he definitely is one of the more underrated 2 guards in the league. Now, I have to say, he has not performed as well compared to how he, performed last season, but I don't really expect him to play like how he did last season, like year in and year out, because it can be kind of hard to replicate that type of performance, year in and year out. But he's still he's still a good player. He's a good scorer, and he's also not that bad of a defender either. And although his efficiency has gone down, he's still not that bad of a shooter. Now, hopefully he does, improve like as the season does go on. But Terry Rozier, he's still a good starter, and although he's not exactly an all-star, he's still a good player, and I still think he is kind of underrated. Now, the forward group, it's one of the deepest in the league, and it's definitely one of Charlotte's strong suits. Let's start out with Gordon Hayward. In my opinion, Gordon Hayward, he's another player on this team who I feel like is one of the most underrated players, in the league, and definitely one of the most underrated players at his position. I mean, this man, he can still play ball, and he still produces at a borderline all-star level. Now, he's a very good source of offense, and he's also a really good source of shot creation. He's good as a scorer, as I mentioned before, and really good as a shooter, and overall, just a good offensive player. Now, if you think LaMelo Ball is Charlotte's best player, I can see why. I agree with you, and I think almost everyone can agree now at this point that he is their best player. But Gordon Hayward, he's still a top 3 player on this team, and he's still very underrated. And a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people just don't mention him enough when they talk about the Charlotte Hornets. So I had to give him a mention. And Gordon Hayward, he's a great player. And Kelly Oubre is also someone I do want to mention. He's a solid all-around player, and he's been a lot better compared to how he was, compared to how he played last year. Like last year, Kelly Oubre, he just had a down season, to put it quite simply. But this year, he's played a whole lot better, and he's been very good as a reserve. And he even has started a few games for the Hornets. He can score, he can shoot well, and he's not that bad of a defender either. He's not really great at one thing, but he's just solid at, a bunch of different things. And overall, he's a very decent player. And PJ Washington, he isn't that bad either. He's good as a stretch 4, and he's a pretty good role player. I don't think he has the high ceiling, but he is a nice young gun on this team as well. And definitely someone that I think the Hornets, I don't know if he is like a guarantee to stay on the Hornets, but he is still a very good player. And the same thing does go for Jalen McDaniels. He's also a good stretch 4. And to round out the forward group, let's save the best for last. Miles Bridges. Okay, one of the best for last. You guys know what I mean. Miles Bridges, he's been amazing this year. He has been a top most improved player of the year candidate this season, and although his efficiency has gone down a little bit, his scoring has gone up, and he's established himself as a really good scorer and a very good rebounder, and he is one of the Charlotte's best players. He pairs very well with LaMelo Ball, with his ability to finish at the rim, and I mean, LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges, man, do they have a good connection. Like, whenever those two are on the fast break, it's basically over. But yeah, man, Miles Bridges, he's been very good this year, and I definitely had to mention him. He's definitely earned himself a nice contract this summer, and I do think the Hornets, they definitely need to somewhat pay him. Obviously, they should not overpay for him, but for sure, Miles Bridges is definitely a guy they should, want to keep around, for the foreseeable future. However, while the Hornets guard and forward groups are very good, well, I have to admit, their bigs, they are not exactly amazing. Mason Plumlee, I mean, he isn't that bad. As a Nuggets fan, I know a lot of Nuggets fans don't exactly love Mason Plumlee, but Mason Plumlee, I think he's not that bad of a player. But in my opinion, he's way more of a good reserve on a championship level team. I think we can all agree on that. Mason Plumlee, he's just not really a starting caliber guy. After that, you got JT Thor and Nick Richards as your backups, and they aren't exactly your ideal backup bigs. They're still, they just aren't amazing, to put it quite simply, and they definitely have to improve at the big man position if they do want to, compete with, a lot of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and if they do want to go on somewhat of a playoff run. Now, I do think Charlotte should attempt to make a move for someone like Miles Turner or Domantas Sabonis, since the Pacers, they're gearing towards a rebuild, and I think either one of those guys, they'd be great fits on the Charlotte Hornets. And speaking of their weaknesses, I gotta mention their defense, since, man, their defense sucks, to put it quite simply. They have the worst defensive net rating in the league, and they allow the most points per game. And, simply put, that's unacceptable, right? It doesn't take a genius to know that it really doesn't matter how much you can score. If you can at least somewhat stop the other team from putting the ball in the basket, then that is a massive issue. And going back to my suggestion of trading for Turner or Sabonis, as I mentioned when I talked about the big man problem, personally, I would go after Miles Turner. I think he would be an amazing fit on the Charlotte Hornets. He can help their defense improve, as he's on one of the best defensive players in the league. Like last year, I think he averaged 3 blocks, and simply put, he is a defensive beast, and that's where, that's where most of his value comes. And offensively, he's not that bad either. He's really good as a plug-and-play guy, and he can be used as a pick-and-roll option, a pick-and-pop option, and he's also on offense, and he's also not that bad of a lob threat. Miles Turner, man, I think would be great on the Hornets. Now, Domantas Sabonis, he wouldn't be that bad either, but I personally, I would go for Miles Turner, since I think he can definitely help, make their defense better. I don't think he'll take their defense to being like a top 3 defense, but he sure as hell would make it better. And I also do want to mention that the Hornets, they are a young team, and they could definitely struggle in the playoffs because of it. So with all of that laid out, how good do I think the Charlotte Hornets are? Personally, I think the Charlotte Hornets, they are a good team. Even though I did mention the weaknesses, there's still plenty of strengths on this team, and there's still plenty of good players on this team. I also do want to mention James Borrego. He's not exactly that bad of a coach at all. I think he's a pretty good coach, so that's another strength. But the Hornets, I think they are a good team. I think they should be making the playoffs this year, and in my opinion, I do think they can win a playoff series. However, that being said, they are still inexperienced, and they do have some work to do with their bigs and their defense. Right now, it's very, very bad. Now, even if they don't make the playoffs, even if they don't exactly make the finals, and even if they don't go on a massive playoff run, they still have a bright future, and they will be a contender if they do play their cards right, and they got a really bright future. But let me know what you guys think. That's all I have to say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot to me. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you enjoyed, and also subscribe, and also make sure you guys go ahead and check out my Twitter and my podcast. The links to both of them, they are in the description down below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.